at the very end of our journey together. And there's a whole lot of unknown into next year, which I'm sure you're feeling on your end too. So I don't know what this cadre committee moving forward. I don't know what my job is. I don't know. We don't know lots of things. So I don't know what to tell you in terms of what next year looks like, but we will definitely communicate once we know anything. And we're going to be asked for some of your feedback today. So as we reflect back on our year together, we just wanted to kind of start with a innovative share out. This tends to be a more shy group. I fully get it. We're going to stick you in breakout rooms, but there's really not that many of us. So I'm hopeful that adequate wait time will pan out for me. I'm hopeful that we can just share just something innovative or a creative way that you've used technology with your students this year. So it doesn't have to be, I always feel like in these things, when I share, it has to be earth shattering, brand new idea nobody on the planet's ever heard of. No, just ways. And sometimes you say something and it's just oh yeah, right? We were talking about Seesaw and just the simple idea of taking a photo of your word work or photo of the things that you've done that in and of itself doesn't have to be fancy or complicated, but what is working for you in your classroom in terms of using technology? And since we are a small group, I'll just go ahead and popcorn out. Feel free to unmute and just share, even if it's the tiniest of little nugget.
One little thing that this isn't even anything that big. It's just it is really small. Is we found out we needed white noise, so we found a white noise app, or not app, but a white noise website, and we bookmarked it so that kids can put on white noise and not hear each other during the day, so they can get some work done. So they just plug into if it's written work. They just plug in, put it on, and it helps them tune out because music was not enough of a noise to help with some kids. So it was helpful. So
I love that. I have to just jump in because I'm curious if this is something I know I've talked to other people that I work with before about. I have undiagnosed still at this point, but ADHD. And I just randomly was listening on a sleep app that I have to the different colors of noise. There's more than just white noise, right? There's pink noise, blue noise, etc. Brown noise is the one that sounded really good to my ear. And I had no idea that that's actually associated with ADHD. So I'm curious if letting kids listen to the different colors, because white noise to me is a pitch that actually I don't it irritates. I can't describe it, but it's just an irritation to me.
I can pull it up and show you what I use with them, but there are different variations.
Oh, there is. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. Have you noticed if the kids use different ones?
Let me pull it up. I'll pull it up while other people are. I'll show you what they do.
I'm going to say something for me. I'm coming from a different state, a different district, and we had Chromebooks for all of our second graders. And so going to iPads has just been a little bit of a shift because it's different. And this is for me personally, but the app where you can actually control and see their screens has been a game changer. And so that's just something small, but and again, all the Seesaw pieces too, that's been nice, but that app, you can see what they're doing is awesome.
Oh, I love the nonverbal. I love primary teachers. Yep, we're hearing you. We're agreeing with you. We're using that as well. Using Apple Classroom.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. No, that's helpful when you make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Eyes on all screens at the same time. It's very helpful.
I'm curious if you guys feel like more professional development is needed for that Apple Classroom. How you feel like maybe in your own buildings, if providing more hands-on with that would be helpful. I'm seeing a lot of nodding of the head, so that's really good.
I think I'm using it at the very basic level it can be used at. So yeah, I think if there's more to it than me just being able yep, they're on Epic like they're supposed to be, or yeah. I mean, it would be nice if there is more to it. I just didn't really it just gives me a good scan on who's doing what they're supposed to be doing. So
all right, we're taking notes.
All right. Do you want me to share really quick?
Yeah, I would love to see it.
Okay. So this is what it looked like. And then there's different sounds they can go into. So there is a white noise one, but a lot of them picked ones like waterfall. And then in waterfall, they can adjust the different tones. And so they can like adjust that. And then when they bookmark it, I'll pause it so I'm not talking over top of it. When they bookmark it, it saves the setting. There's one or two kids who try to go, and mess with it when they shouldn't be, but they get it taken away if they're messing with it when they're not supposed to be. So it pretty much stopped that. I mean, there's always one, but they all got to pick the sound then that worked best for them and use that during the time. So
And you found that helpful.
They have one for ADD. So it helps a lot of my kids, especially during writing time. So help them kind of focus in. It did require a how to bookmark lesson and then how to find your bookmark lesson. So like there was it definitely was a chunk of time to get us like going on it. But once we got it going, it's been pretty good.
I don't think my idea, I think Carrie, what you said about it not being like the biggest, brightest idea the world has ever seen. But I've been using Seesaw. I had a Japanese newcomer come into my classroom. And there's no other Japanese speakers in second grade. And so I'm using, I want to build a lot of language with her, and we have ELD support, but I've created some activities on Seesaw that have some video components and some sorting components and some like drawing and doing things components, just so she gets extra support so that I don't solely focus my attention on her. So I've just been using Seesaw as like another teacher, kind of like me when I'm not available to work with her, and been creating different activities. And same with all my other students. A lot of the science and social studies curriculums has like sorts. And instead of me sitting up at 8 p.m., and like cutting things out to use for one day, I've been just digitizing a lot of those and using it that way. And it's been good.
No, that's perfect, Amanda. Just again, efficient, right? How can make my life easier, right? What can I do to make my life easier, the kids' life easier? Little scraps of paper all over my classroom. Maybe not necessary for some activities. That's a necessary thing, but
I've learned that my students really like to do their phonics lessons online. So we've been doing Lexia since the beginning of the year, but it was only like a trial run, so we don't have it right now. So they were really bummed out when they found out they didn't have it anymore. So I found this website called Freckle. Some of the third grade teachers at my school were using it, so they shared that with me, and it's kind of like Dreambox for. There's ELA and then there's also math. So we've been using it for the ELA part, so they can read passages and it can ask them questions, and it goes at their level as well. So that's been amazing. And so when we're done with our Haggerty lesson, they just go to that and they just have a little bit of, phonics online, and they love it. So it's been really awesome.
Bouncing off of that, we also lost Lexia too, but we are using Arc Adventures, which is for power words. It's all like their sight words based, and it's like Minecraft. So a lot of my kids are really engaged with that. They didn't love Lexia, so this was a cool alternative. It's not as in depth as Lexia was, but it does give them opportunities to practice with their word work for power words.
I have a question about Arc Adventures. Does it go above the level? I think it was green last time I used it. Does it go above that level?
Yeah, I have kids that are working with they start building like CVCE words. So it's not just their power words. Like for my kids who are blue readers, it's bumped up a notch for them. So they're not just stuck with green.
Okay, awesome.
One of the ones that I found to work, I have some students who aren't reading yet. They're still doing letter identification. So Splash Learn has an ELA piece too. And I can do sounds in there, so they can just one thing they can do that's not with me, since there's only one of me. And so they can go in there and like match the capital letter to the lowercase letter. There's also sound stuff in there that pairs nicely with the phonics lessons. So every once in a while, I'll give the whole class an assignment that has like blends or something, just for a fun way to practice after we've done it in class. So
Mine is a little bit more basic, but I wanted to get back to Seesaw as like the kids' portfolio for their parents. I don't know, I have a little PTSD pushing out too many assignments after COVID, but using the book that taught us how to teach them to take pictures into video, I was like, oh, if I could have done this at the beginning of the year, all that wonky and like craziness. So now like Seesaw has some like quality pictures. So if they do something, sorts, patterns, or whatever, I'm like, you know, they want to take a picture and send it home anyway, but it allows me to like go check it. But the sort is in the picture and the patterns in the picture, not other kids too, because now they really want to showcase their work and they're like checking the background and like, can you please move over? Like they took some ownership of it. So which then they want to do Seesaw even more.
That brings me joy, Stephanie. And
I
we're
actually
trying
have a
to
question about that.
revamp that Seesaw during remote learning. Seesaw was push out work to you, and that's not the whole idea of it. We had to use it that way in an emergency, but it is a way to showcase your work and your learning and your thinking. So getting back to that mindset of Seesaw.
That's what I'm kind of was conflicted about at the beginning of this year, and I've been trying to think about for next year, is because we switched to Parent Square, I felt guilty asking parents to sign up for 2 different platforms. And so I decided not to do like ask them. So I'm sure some parents still have it from their kids just moving forward, but I didn't like, you know, really stay up on like, I'll be sending things through this. So now I regret that because they don't ever get to see anything that their kids are like, or at least not that I know, like I'm not tracking it or, you know, saying, hey, don't forget to check, you know, like we're sending out stuff or making sure every parent has it accessible. Anyways, so I was wondering which teachers were still doing both platforms. It drives me crazy that there's multiple platforms we're asking them to use, but I might have to do it next year.
Something that we found when we started the Seesaw cadre last year was that that's what we heard from almost everybody. They were very confused. Why do we still have Seesaw if we now have Parent Square? And you know, we were trying to really like narrow down exactly what the purpose of them both were. And I think, you know, the Parent Square would be if you're sending home information that is school-wide, you know, field trips, you know, like basic education things, notifications, that sort of stuff. But Seesaw is still that educational portfolio. So it's hard that we've had, you know, I think if we keep on thinking about Seesaw as a way for kids to show their learning, I think parents will come to it anyways because they want to see what their kids are up to and what they're doing. So it's a different function.
I was just gonna piggyback off of that. We were told when we first got Parent Square that we needed to use Parent Square for family communication. So that like if we're messaging families, do it on Parent Square, not on Seesaw. If we're sending, you know, a class note or reminder, like you said, like field trips and stuff. So we send like all class reminder messages and direct parent messaging on Parent Square. But then I had put in the chat, we still use Seesaw for our video newsletters, me and my other 2nd grade teammate. And so every Friday we just like go around our classroom, we do a quick like, here's what we did in math this week and show them either our anchor chart or what we were working on, or maybe some kids' work. And then, you know, here's what we were doing in reading this week. This was our phonic blend this week. This was our, you know, just a quick. And the nice thing about Seesaw is when you do that video, you can still do like the pause and unpause. So you can go to your anchor chart and do the video and be like, blah, 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 reading, and then pause and go somewhere else in your room. So it's not so clunky. And it is that like 5-minute limit, which helps me to be like, okay, it can only be 5 minutes, like keep it short and sweet. And then you can see what parents have seen it and who's actually, you know, up with it. And we let parents know at the beginning of the year, like we're going to send reminders and newsletter, you know, like that kind of stuff on Parent Square, but please check Seesaw regularly for that regular weekly post, as well as kids posting their work and showing things occasionally, which we don't use as much as I'd like to get back into doing, but we've been doing better lately of them posting like book reviews and some of their like science project stuff and that kind of stuff. And I always have parents that say like, thank you so much. Like, we love to see what they're doing. So I think that utilizing both, but just making sure there's clear boundaries. Cause I have one parent that still messages on Seesaw instead of using Parent Square. Everything she sends me, she sends on Seesaw, which is fine. It's just, yeah, some parents are still in the habit of one thing over the other.
I mean, I just have to say, as a parent of a BSD student myself, like I just was so inundated with Parent Square stuff. I ended up like silencing a lot of my notifications. And I know when my child used to be in elementary, I loved the Seesaw stuff. I absolutely adored getting to see her work, listening to her read things, getting to see her little group projects. I adored it. It's a vastly different experience as a parent versus Parent Square, you know? I think they still will come just based on the content. Yeah.
And Bethany, I'm loving your little video clip. Like, that is so much more engaging. Would you rather read an instruction manual or watch something on YouTube on how to do something? Like, we're just so visual. I would rather see, oh, I saw the poster in your classroom, be able to connect with my kid versus reading a paragraph about what you're doing in phonics or whatever. That's fine. But when I've seen the anchor chart and can talk to them about that, I just think that visual piece is just awesome. I think that's great that you're using it that way.
It's also, I think, so much less work in terms of just like, you know, maybe it takes slightly more than 5 minutes to record it because you're pausing and figuring out what you're going to show. But like, I'm not sitting at my computer typing up a newsletter every week for an hour or anything like that. And I can literally, and it also, I find that it holds me accountable to making anchor charts. Which is silly to say, but a lot of times, like, I'll just, you know, draft stuff on the whiteboard as kids are like throwing out ideas, and it won't be like cute or anything that I saved, but then I'll be like, well, that actually would have been something that would be good to like keep, that they would use next week, or, you know, whatever it is. So then I do more like putting things on paper to put on the walls, because then I'm also like, well, I'm going to be showing this to parents. So like, I want to have something that like really showcases what we did. So it's both like holds me accountable to like doing that for the kids, but then also like to have something that we will refer back to and use again because I made it on a paper instead of just like quick on the whiteboard.
And I know a number of teachers who, you know, that you only have so much wall space in the room that literally just put a picture of the anchor chart and keep it in a folder in their Seesaw. So the kids have it on their device to, you know, reference it if they want to, as a resource.
I do something similar to what Bethany does, but instead of using Seesaw, I make a video in Canvas Studio, and then I just post it post it to YouTube and then post it into Parent Square. So there's another way, if your families are used to looking at Parent Square, that you could still do a video.
Can I answer with the video ideas? Like, do those, I know Seesaw translates messages into a device's home language. Would it do videos as well? Or would it like?
That is the one downside, is that if you have people that need to read a letter that is translated, it doesn't translate. So if you do what Jennifer's doing and you upload it to YouTube, then they can get the auto-generated captions, I believe, in their home language. So that would be like one detriment of what I'm doing, is that it doesn't translate into other languages on Seesaw.
But YouTube does. That's good to hear.
If you upload it with your settings on to auto-generate captions, I believe is what you need to do.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Hey, I just have to say how proud I am of this group. I don't know if it was adequate wait time or we had sufficient snacks or what is happening, but that was it was right after spring break. Maybe that's it. We're a little less fried. That was an excellent share session. That's just Mary Ellen's like, no, still fried, still totally fried.
Still there.
I'm not sure, but that was fabulous. I love all the idea sharing between these experts. So I appreciate you, everybody who shared and everybody who asked questions. That's really helpful to have that time. In the spirit of you being experts, we have been working diligently to try to get digital skills integrated into our elementary classrooms. That is utilizing Seesaw, knowing how to turn on your iPad and like some basic things like that, knowing how to, someone mentioned earlier, take good photos or take good videos with your iPad camera, skills like that. And the way that we have been doing that, we talked about it at the beginning of our year together, is something called our digital scope and sequence. And of course, you know, scope and sequence, well, every subject has it, but we really didn't have a beautiful, detailed digital piece. And our hope with this project is not to add more to your plate, right? I have to cover this phonics, I got to cover this math, I got to cover this, and now I have to cover this other digital unit. The hope is to take work off of your plate in, oh, great, my kids need to know how to take videos on their iPad. Great, here's some lessons already done for me, ready to go, that can help me to have my kids be able to do this. So we are trying our very best to get them to integrate within units you are already teaching. That's ideal, right? We're already doing this writing unit. Let's go ahead and do it in Book Creator. Let's go ahead and take photos of our drawings and whatever. And we're working toward that. But at this point right now, we have created, and we're almost done. Like if you have a unit coming up in May or June, those may not be done. We're finishing them just as people are launching into them. But we have, and Nicole here, what grade is this, Nicole?
This is
kindergarten. So she's on the kindergarten page here, and we've navigated there through the digital scope and sequence. So, and this is your normal elementary site that you're used to, but there is a digital page on each one of your big slide decks. And we have been linking the units that we have been creating. Now, everything. So you look at the beginning of the year, we obviously want to know kids to know how to use an iPad. We want kids to be able to do something in Seesaw, right? Digital citizenship tends to be in October, and then every grade level has slightly different units. And we are looking at these vertically, right? So if the kids learn how to do this in kindergarten, so in first grade, we're going to add on this piece, second grade, third grade, all the way up through fifth grade, wanting these digital competencies that kids are able to do all of these different things in a digital space. And those things are not just isolated digital things, but they actually help them with their projects and their work and things that they're doing anyway. So we've got first grade units there linked, and we're working on adding additional ones. So I know there is always tons on your plate. And our hope is to try to integrate them so that it isn't an additional thing. You're going to be showing them Seesaw. And if you do these out of order, the world's not going to come to an end. These are just ideas, right? If you need help with how to do videography and editing and photography, there you go. There's some lessons ready to go that are second grade appropriate and often integrated within a unit. So what we'd like to do now is we would love to get you to dive into there. If you have taught some of these this year, awesome. If you haven't taught any of these this year, totally okay. Maybe digging through going, oh my gosh, I wish I would have known this one was here. I will do this next year. Or I wish this unit integrated into the social sciences unit. This would go beautifully when we do this project. If we know some of those things, then we can try to this spring, we're ironing out all the details and finishing up all the units and tying them in where we can with our content TOSAs. So our hope right now is to have everybody hop into breakout rooms in just a moment. I'm going to put you, you're going to self-select your own grade level. I have the rooms all ready to go. You're going to self-select your own grade level. Ideally, there are people there with you looking at it. If not, let me know, or you can work on your own if you'd like to. In your groups, I would like you guys to divide and conquer looking over some of the units. So not everybody's doing unit 1, maybe divide, whoever many people you have, look at some of the units. And then we have a feedback form. So you all divide. We're going to look at this unit. I'll look at this unit. You're going to head back. You're going to maybe need some time to look over the stuff independently and then pull back to your group and maybe share out. Oh my gosh, you guys, I found this thing. And did you realize we had this? Don't you think this unit would go better with blah, 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 right? You guys are the experts at your grade level, and we are revising all of this. And so we want your input. So we have a feedback form that says, I'm a second grade teacher. I'm looking at this unit, and then you can give us your feedback. I think you should do this. I think you should add this. I wish it didn't have this. This is too hard, whatever, right? So your chance to just give input on what you think.
Some additional aspects to any of these lessons. Not only are they vertically aligned, they link back to an actual scope and sequence with skills and standards that are based on the ISTE standards, which relate to the digital citizenship standard that you guys have on the report card. All of the lessons are about 15 to 20 minutes or less. And so as you look at them, that's another thing we'd like for your feedback to be like, is this lesson too long, too complicated? Would you combine some of the information, that sort of thing? Because they're all really meant to be, I think in the end, as someone was saying earlier, like, oh, I wish I would have taught the video, you know, because then I would have had better summative pieces, or the stuff that they turned into Seesaw. That is the end goal with almost all of these assignments. While they do fit into your curriculum, bottom line is teaching the skills to the students so that you have better end products for them to show you what they know. But I think we're probably ready.
I know. Are there any questions?
I do have a quick question, just looking at it. And so like digital citizenship, like we were at my new school told like that's what our tech person, like they teach all that kind of stuff. Is this similar to what are some taking this on? Is this completely separate? Like, am I going to be teaching them the same thing?
Excellent question. And the tricky part is it pretty much depends on your school site and on your staffing at that site. Is your Tia the kind of person who just takes that on and is running it for your school? Then you may be able to cross that off your plate because you know those lessons are being covered by them. But I think it requires a conversation. I can't say district-wide, all technology classes are handling these portions of it. We have asked that they handle the digital citizenship part and the coding parts, but it's just confirming with your person, your staff person, that that is in fact happening. And if it is, then absolutely, those are the same lessons. That is a total overlap.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Okay, so I'm thinking probably about 20 minutes or so to do this so that you have adequate time to discuss, dig in a little bit. And again, if you have feedback or your co-workers have feedback on any of these units after this meeting, we are going to be asking for that in the T&L Tuesday in the coming weeks, just any input people have so we can make these the best units possible. So we'll spend about 20 minutes, discuss your units, talk to each other about it, and we'll pull back together to wrap up. Okay, friends, I'm opening all your breakout rooms for you. You can go ahead and self-select your grade level. I was like, oh, they came back really fast. They were super eager to get back. All right, how did it go? What did you think?
Good, but where did you want us to put like our notes on like what we were thinking when we were looking at the different units?
So there is a feedback form. And I've put that in the chat. It's also linked on the slide deck.
And we looked at it, and I think there's so much information there we're not comfortable giving feedback yet for, because we haven't been able to dig deeper with it. So as much as I want to fill that out, I don't feel comfortable doing that now because I can't give any feedback that would be worth anybody's time.
Okay.
We're hoping in the month of May is when we're going to dig into it and start revamping. So there is adequate time. And again, if you want to share this with teammates or whatever to give their feedback, we welcome that. We want to make sure that these units are achievable and again, not required, right? So this is not a required unit. This is supportive, right? If I want to help my kids launch Seesaw, I have this as a resource. Okay, friends. Well, I think we will, if there's no other questions or issues about that. And again, we are total open book. We want them to be usable resources. And we're like, oh, this is too much, or wouldn't it be great if we had this? We want to know that because we want to make it as usable as possible. And if you looked at that and you went, oh my gosh, I could do such a better job writing this lesson. I would love a chance to work on this. Let me know that too. If you have this great idea and you want to help write one of the units or change it up, we have some money to if you'd like to help create that and make it more usable for your grade level. So email me separately and let me know. I think I have it in the feedback form as well, but if you didn't get to the feedback form, you can just email me and say, oh, this is right up my alley. I would love to help with this unit or whatever. Okay, friends, it is the to-do list time. It's our last time doing the to-do list. So we're gonna do all the good stuff, except for we actually have a feedback form at the end that we really would like you to actually do, because it is about this cadre and your experiences. So if you haven't already, go ahead and register and kick up. Your little link is right there to do that. If you, look at Nicole, she's so good at copying and pasting. We have the confirmation of your attendance in KickUp as well. So Nicole is sticking that in the chat. If you can stick that little code in KickUp to prove that you were here and you get your little PDUs and stuff. The other one is to do your pay form. So as a reminder, we had a homework assignment. Again, the homework was totally optional, but we had a homework assignment that you were to either do one of the reading activities that you heard about in the session that we did last time. If you tried one of those ideas, yeehaw, you did your homework. If you added some reading ideas to our Jamboard, cool, you did your homework. The other was to learn about Book Creator by completing that Book Creator Certified Authors course. So if you did that Book Creator Certified Authors course and you haven't been paid for that, awesome. You can make sure to submit that for pay. And you can see there on the bottom, if you did the one on the left, that is worth 1 hour pay. And the Book Creator one takes about 2 hours. So if you did that one, that is 2 hours pay, in addition to attending this meeting, which is another 1 hour pay. So you need to calculate what you did in terms of homework and submit your last pay form for that amount. Nicole is on it. She already stuck our little pay form in there. Slide 30 has all the little numbers on there for you. I'll stick that in the chat so you have that awesome special code number that gets it out of the correct account. And make sure that you're doing option B, because option B is your hourly rate. So put however many hours you did homework plus attending this live awesome meeting today. And then as a reminder, you'll just email that to me and I will print it and handle submitting it to payroll for you. Okay. After you get all that good stuff done, which I know you're probably not done with, the last thing, and we really would like you to do this. Sometimes we're kind of like, yeah, you can do the feedback form or not. We really would like this feedback form because it is about the entirety, all 5 meetings of this experience being part of the K2 Innovators. Should we have the opportunity to do this again next year, your feedback is incredibly valuable. Is this something that you think was beneficial to you and your teaching, your practice, your school? Would you like to be on this committee? Should it continue again next year? Would you think somebody else should replace you in this position? Just kind of asking you questions like that. Did it change your practice in any way, shape, or form? And what just input you have in terms of the whole cadre, the whole kit and caboodle? So we want to give you a few minutes to fill that out and submit that to us. And then kind of anticlimactic, this will be the end. The end in April feels really weird to be at the end in April of something, but it is our last meeting together. So we want to thank you for your willingness, right, to take on something new. That's a much appreciated thing. I want to thank you for your willingness to share with each other and come and learn and try new things. And we're around. So if you have questions or anything, you're welcome to reach out to us. Or ideas. We love ideas. Trainings that you need, right? I love somebody said, oh, we could really use some Apple Classroom, more professional development. We know those things. We'll make sure to offer them. And after you have all that turned in, you are actually free to head out from this meeting with our great gratitude for being a part of our committee. And we do have a little subcommittee that we'd love you to stay on the this meeting afterwards, because we are meeting to talk about that fun Seesaw project to add some more resources for ERLA or phonics. So we have a subcommittee meeting after this. So stay tuned. There may be products coming out of that subcommittee that you can utilize in your classroom. this spring or next year. And
Thank you.
yeah, thank you, friends. I appreciate your participation. Really, really do. And your expertise. We need it.